Thank you for taking time out for Torah. My name is Rabbi Yosef Alt of Gulf Manor Synagogue in Cincinnati, Ohio. And on today's episode of Time Out for Torah, we will discuss the halachos of the 3 weeks. There are 3 weeks in the Jewish calendar in which we mourn the loss of the Beis HaMikdash, of our holy temple. These 3 weeks begin with the fast of the 17th of Tammuz, and they end with the fast of the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av. In reality, these 3 weeks can be divided into 12 days and 9 days. The latter 9 days have many more halachos that we will not be discussing today. We'll be focusing on the first 12 days and the halachos, the laws and customs that apply during those first 12 days. During the 3 weeks, these first 12 days, we do not make a chasana, we do not make weddings. We do not get married during these days. That is a joyful experience, celebration, that we abstain from during these days. If a wedding was made just before these 3 weeks began, and then the 7 days of celebration that follow the wedding, the Sheva Brachos, go into the 3 weeks, one is allowed to celebrate those Sheva Brachos even during the 3 weeks. A vort, an engagement party, can be made during these days. However, a full sit-down meal should be avoided. We also do not listen to music during these days. This includes both live and canned music, recordings, etc. If someone plays an instrument for a living, that is his source of livelihood, then he's allowed to continue playing his instrument during these 3 weeks. If someone is involved in lessons, music lessons, either as an instructor or even as a student who is learning a new instrument, if taking off 3 weeks and waiting for the 3 weeks to pass will hinder his ability to master that instrument, then he is allowed to continue during the 3 weeks. Many are of the opinion that a cappella music can be listened to. That is music that doesn't include any instruments. It's entirely singing and noises made by the human voice. That is permitted, according to most opinions. Dancing is also forbidden, or I should say the custom is not to dance during the 3 weeks, just like the custom is not to listen to music. We do not make the blessing shehechianu during these 3 weeks. That is the blessing when someone eats a new fruit or acquires a new purchase that is of great significance, a new vehicle or a brand new suit which is of high quality. In those scenarios, someone is obligated to make a blessing of Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Shehechiyanu V'Kiyimanu V'Higiyanu L'Zman Hazeh, that He brought us to this special time. These days are not a special time, and we're not happy to be mourning the loss of our holy temple. We want it back. We don't want to be at this time. And therefore we avoid scenarios of making this blessing. Nonetheless, if someone has a new fruit that will not be available after the 3 weeks, or it's going to rot if he doesn't eat it now, he is allowed to eat it during the 3 weeks and to recite that blessing. One is also allowed to eat a new fruit and recite the blessing on Shabbos. Shabbos is somewhat of a break from the mourning of the 3 weeks. If someone has a new purchase, but it's not quite of the caliber of reciting the blessing of Shehechianu, such as a new suit which is not of such high quality for someone who buys new suits fairly regularly, where he would not make a Shehechianu, he is allowed to purchase that suit during the 3 weeks, during these first 12 days, because it's not the joy of the new item, but rather the words of the blessing that we're trying to avoid. We also have a custom not to cut our hair or shave. Trimming our nails is permitted, but the fresh look of a fresh haircut and a cleanly shaven face, that we do not do during the 3 weeks out of mourning. This includes men, women, and children. Women also should not take a haircut during these days. nor do we give haircuts to our children during these days. Though women are included in this custom not to cut their hair, however, shaving legs or plucking eyebrows, that is permitted. For men as well, hair that gets in the way of eating, such as an overgrown mustache, may be trimmed during the 3 weeks. Certainly, any hair that needs to be removed for any medicinal purpose, an area that's going to be operated on, that is certainly permitted to be cut or shaved during the 3 weeks as well. A very significant leniency in this particular custom is when a haircut or a clean-shaven face is needed for one's livelihood. If one needs to look presentable, look professional for the sake of doing well at an interview or keeping his job or being able to close an important deal, any of these common scenarios, one is allowed to cut his hair or to shave during the 3 weeks. It is important to bear in mind that when you get later on to the week in which we observe the fast of the 9th of Av, then the rules change and the leniencies are a little bit harder to come by, and you need to have a better reason to be allowed to cut one's hair or shave. This covers the basic halachas of the 3 weeks.